Hey, how's everyone doing today? This is Josh Noel with PremiumBeat, and in this After Effects tutorial, we're going to recreate the title from The Last Jedi. So by the time we post this video on YouTube, Star Wars should be officially out, and here is the exact title from the trailer, and we're going to recreate this in After Effects very easily. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, this is very simple. This is just some three lines of text and a simple animation, but there's a lot of other nuances in the animation and how we're going to go about setting this up to easily recreate it. There's a little bit of nice subtleties that we're going to take a close look at in this tutorial. So let's come over here, go up to composition and click on new composition, and I'll just call this one Tut for tutorial. I'm going to do 1920 by 1080. I would probably suggest doing it in more of a widescreen format if that's what you're looking to do for your video, or just keep it 16 by 9. Click OK. And we're going to come over here. Well, first things first, obviously, we want to type out our text. Now, we do have this background image, which we'll use in here, which is just stars in the background. Of course, you can Google your own image. And first things first, we're going to do this. Go to Effect, Color Correction, Tint. There shouldn't be any blue in the background here. And now it's all black and white. Now we can continue to type out our text. And you're also going to have to do a quick Google search for the typeface for Star Wars. It's a simple typeface called Star Wars. Should be no problem. So go ahead and install that into your font library. So let's grab our text to start off here. Let's grab the text title tool here at the top, and you can do a quick Google search for the typeface, which is we're using a Star Wars here. This is a custom built typeface that you can just do a quick Google search on and add it to your library. It's going to be the exact same style as this Star Wars text. Now, for copyright reasons, we're not going to actually use the full title Star Wars: The Last Jedi. We're going to come up with our own title just to avoid any issues, and we'll just come here and we'll type out the first word here, which will be star. And before we go ahead and type our second word, which needs to be in a separate text layer, we need to make some changes to this typeface. So what we want to do is we want to click on the fill color, and we're going to want to set this to black. Okay, and then click OK. And then click on this arrow icon next to the fill and stroke here to switch to the fill. And we're going to change the fill color back to black here. And we'll go back to the stroke here, and we'll just set that to red. It's a little bit confusing, but go ahead and make sure that you have a little bit of a black fill here. Make sure you have a black fill and a red stroke. And we'll come over here and we'll make some adjustments here. So we'll make the text a little bit bigger. We'll go ahead and set the tracking down so it's nice and close and perfect. And you might need to set the stroke count up to 10, which is over here. So I'm using 403 text size, 0 tracking, and we're using a stroke size of 10. So that's pretty good. And we come over here to the Align tab and center this up. If you don't see the Align tab, go up to Window, Align. And now that we have our text in here, we need to continue to type this out. Now obviously there's this line right here which shouldn't be there, and we'll go ahead and take that out a little bit later. But let's go ahead and let's duplicate this layer by going up to Edit, Duplicate, and we'll bring this down here, and we can type out our second text, which should be Wars, but we're going to do Beat just to avoid any copyright issues. And now we have our two text tiles in here, and we want to kind of position these in here just very nice and neat like this. And now we can type out our middle title. So this would be, The Last Jedi, but to avoid, once again, copyright issues, we're going to name it something else. So what we'll do before we type in text, we'll switch everything to white. So we have a white fill, and we'll deactivate the stroke color by clicking it and selecting no stroke color, and no problem at all. And we'll make this a little bit smaller as font size, and we can type out our text. So this will be The Last Song, which, and maybe this will be more of a music video, I don't know. But the thing about the middle typeface is not exactly the Star Wars typeface. It's more of a sans serifs, and we'll be using Frutiger. So now you just really need a sans serifs typeface. So like Helvetica should be fine, or Gotham, but I'm going to use Frutiger, which is not really required, but it gets us kind of close in that ballpark. And now the big thing is we need to increase the tracking here. So we'll go up here, increase the tracking to really lay this out across our composition here. So like 430-ish should be fine. And now we have this entire text here laid out, and maybe we'll just bring this in here like so. And if we need to, make sure to center and align all your text layers so it's in the middle of your composition. And we're pretty close to where we need to be with our text. And that's very important for this tutorial, is making sure the text is exactly where it needs to be. And now we can start animating this and making it look just like the actual title. So first things first, let's go and add the gradient to this to really start blending in our text and giving a little bit more atmosphere, if you will. So let's go up to Layer, New, Solid, and we can call this one Vignette. And this is how we're going to do our shading for our text. So let's grab the ellipse tool, double click it here at the top. So we have this ellipse text like this. We have this ellipse mask like this. Set it to subtract, and we'll hit M on our keyboard to bring up all of our mask layers. Just tap it a few times. And go ahead and decrease the mask expansion and feather it like crazy. And, we might need to make a few adjustments here. So maybe drag this out a little bit more. And we'll hit T on our keyboard for opacity. And we'll lower the opacity by a touch. All right. And we can continue to decrease the mask expansion until we see fit here. So we get a little bit more dimension with this and a little bit more shading. And what I would do is I would grab the mask path here, grab the first point, and I would just bring this up, just so we don't have any of that shading here at the top. So there's a little bit of contrast going on here. So that's nice. Okay, so now we need to focus on the animation of this. So let's come over here and let's do the middle text here, the last song, or aka The Last Jedi. And what we'll do is we'll open up the text layer, go to animate, click the arrow icon next to it, and we'll click on rotation. And go back to animate and click on enable per character to 3D. And you come over here and you can see increase the Y rotation, and all the letters rotate independently instead of doing it as one large group. So that's nice. And what we can do here is add a keyframe for Y rotation. We can move forward in time, maybe set this to 2 seconds or so, and we can set the Y rotation to about 90 degrees, somewhere around that mark. We'll do like 78 degrees, and now we'll have that nice rotation just like that. Make the last keyframe an easy ease keyframe by hitting F9 on your keyboard, and that looks good. And now what we can do is animate the two main titles here. So we can grab star layer, hit P on your keyboard for position. We can do the same thing for the beat layer as well, or the second title. And we'll bring both of those keyframes forward in time to maybe, we'll go all the way to the end of our animation here, which is 5 seconds. And we'll edit the Y rotation, the Y position to kind of be overlapping our, middle title here. So kind of like this. And make sure to put the middle title underneath your two main titles. And now you get something like that. So that's pretty cool. So now what we need to do is do a quick little scaling animation for all of our layers here. So let's go up to Layer, New, Null Object. And we can grab all 3 text layers, parent it to the null object. And we can go to the beginning of our timeline here, hit S on your keyboard for scale, add a keyframe for scale, move forward in time to the end of the animation, and we'll scale this forward. Now, be very careful here, as we don't want to go over too much. And maybe we'll actually we'll bring this down just by a little bit. So we'll go to like 96% all the way to 104% for this. And now you kind of have this nice animation. Of course, we might want to, drag out the rotation of this by a little bit longer. No problem. And so far, we're looking good. Now, we have a few things that we need to do to actually enhance this a little bit further. So the one thing that you might want to add, even though we're not in a true widescreen format, you might want to add letterboxing, if you will. So what you can do is go up to Layer, New, Solid, and we call this one Letterbox. And we do like top, click OK, and just grab the rectangle tool, and we draw like a thin mask like this to like right there. We can duplicate this layer, go up to Layer, Transform, Flip Vertical, and now we have a nice little fake letterbox just like that. So let's say we want to get rid of any flaws in the text, like the S and T here, which has this red line here, which should not be there. What we can do to get rid of this is very easy. Go up to Layer, New, Solid, and make sure it's the same color as the fill here. So in our case, it's going to be black, and we call this one Text Fix, or whatever you want to call it. Click OK. And we'll come here, we'll lock all of our layers, hide our text fix layer, which is a solid layer. And we'll come over here, and we're going to create this mask right on top of our text like so. And if you need to make any adjustments, that's fine. Anyway, turn this layer back on. You can see this covering up our text, or that little line there. And we'll zoom out here, make sure that's going to look good. And you can probably perfect that just by a little bit. So let's say that's okay. So now what we can do is pick whip our black solid, our text fix layer, to our title here. Just pick whip that there, and now you'll have that moving in place, hiding that red line, no problem at all. So of course you can go and do that to the rest of the pieces of the text. So we could do it down here as well. And to fix up the issue down here, since this is a separate word, what we can do is go up to Layer, New, Solid again, and we call this one Fix. Click OK, and once again, we'll come here, hide that layer, turn on, lock all the other layers, and we'll grab the pen tool, and we can come here and just kind of mask around all this, no problem at all. Like that. And come here, turn this layer back on, and parent it to the beat layer. And now you'll have that looking pretty good. So we should come through here. This looks very nice. And we have that nice simple animation. And what we can do from here is to top off the effect, go ahead and turn on motion blur for all of our layers. So let's come here to the timeline, select all of our layers, go to layer, pre-compose, and we can call this one all tut. Click OK. And now what we want to do is add a very long fade in transition. So hit T on your keyboard for opacity, add a keyframe for opacity, move this keyframe forward in time to maybe like 2 seconds, and set the opacity down to 0%. So now we'll have this nice, very long fade on, and it'll look really good. And now we should be able to render this out. And after a quick render, here is our animation. We have our mock-up Star Wars text, The Last Jedi. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're in the need for royalty-free music, we have a huge library full of great music for your projects. And once again, thank you for watching this video, and this has been Joshua Noel from PremiumBeat.com.